banana loves, how are you? How are you doing? If this is your first time here, you are very much welcome. It's Pretty Pam the foodie here, and today we are making chia seeds and chocolate chips banana bread cake. That's a lot of names, I know, but I'm just trying to show you how to make this banana bread and take it to another level with chia seeds and with chocolate chips. Of course, we'll be using bananas for this, and you know you want to use the very ripe bananas, okay, because it will give it a very sweet taste. And then we'll be using some flour, some melted butter, sugar, some eggs, baking powder or baking soda. I'm going to tell you more about this. We use vanilla essence, we use some salt, the chia seeds. This is optional, okay? I also used some chocolate biscuits. I crushed them up and you'll see as I get to use them. I'll be using some milk for this, but you can use sour cream, yogurt, or you can even skip it, okay? It will all turn out fine eventually. So guys, there's also chocolate chips. Just, you play around with what you like. Sprinkle lots of nuts or whatever you like on it, and it will be lovely. First, I started out lining my baking pan with a baking paper. This seems to be tricky sometimes for me, but you watch and see how I do this and tell me if you have a better method or if this is preferred. I just try to get the shape of the pan, and then I cut out the excess and try to fold it like a cube. After I've folded it to the shape of the pan, then I grease it with a cooking spray. This is me showing you again how I do it, just so you don't get confused. I just cut it out to the shape of the pan, cut off the excess and fold it into the pan like an open cube, and that's it. So guys, I started out mixing the wet ingredients separately and the dry ingredients separately. For the wet ingredients, I started with mashing my bananas. I used this masher to mash it all up, and the consistency I got was quite good. You could decide to go ahead and use it like that. Some people like to get the chunky bits of banana in theirs, but I went ahead to blend mine with a manual blender. Then next thing, I added the eggs and I decided to whisk it all together. You could use a hand whisk for this, but for the purpose of this recipe, I decided to do it this way just because I wanted to incorporate some air. So while I added every ingredient, I whisked as well. You can just do it as you please, but this is how I prefer to do it if I want to incorporate some air. So after I added the eggs, I added the sugar. Remember guys, sugar is a wet ingredient as well. So I added it and whisked it also. So I went in with the melted butter, whisked it and added the milk and vanilla extract and whisked again. Guys, I know you'll be wondering why I was just whisking too much. When you add the flour, you don't want to mix it too much because you don't want to overwork the flour. And with my wet ingredients, I just wanted to incorporate as much air as possible, so I was just really whisking. It's up to you. If you don't really like it very fluffy, you can just mix it as you please, but this is the way I like to do it, okay? Then next, I sieved my flour. Make sure you sieve your flour because sometimes they have really some bits in it that you don't want. And here guys, I told you I would talk about the baking powder and the baking soda. So guys, baking powder and baking soda are typically leavening agents. You use them depending on the recipe you're making. Baking powder is a mixture of baking soda and calcium acid phosphate, starch, and just what I want you to get is that it contains acid, that's baking powder. You know that the leavening agents, they need acid to be able to produce carbon dioxide. So if the recipe already contains any acidic ingredient, then you should be using baking soda. But if it doesn't contain any acidic ingredients, then you would use baking powder, because baking powder already contains the acid it needs to produce the carbon dioxide so that it rises. Sometimes you could use the both of them depending on how much you want your whatever you're making to rise. But for the purpose of this recipe, we'll be using baking soda because we already have a few acidic ingredients. You get me? Okay. After I added the baking soda, I added the salt, chia seeds, nutmeg. You can use cinnamon powder, but I prefer to use nutmeg. After mixing up the dry ingredients, I transferred the mixture to a bigger bowl just to be able to contain it all. And then I gradually mixed it together. Be careful guys, you don't want to overwork the flour, but then you want to mix it very well. And I like to mix in one direction. This is just to incorporate air. Always mix in one direction guys, okay? I added the chocolate chips and then I transferred them into the already greased baking pan. I sprinkled some of the chocolate biscuits on top. This is where I get to use them guys. Just sprinkle so that when it melts, it gives a lovely taste. And then some of the chocolate chips as well on it. You can use just chocolate chips, you can use just chocolate biscuits, you can use nuts. Go crazy guys, do whatever you like, okay? And then it's time to pop in the oven. I had little of the mixture left, so I decided to use my non-stick cake pan for it. I just greased with oil and I poured it right into it. This is to show you that you don't always have to use a baking paper, just depending on the pan you're using. And as you can imagine, this was done first because it was the smaller batch. And look how fluffy that is. You're supposed to wait for this to be cool before you start to cut it, but I just couldn't wait guys, I couldn't wait. Very fluffy, and with the chia seed, it's not that soggy or anything. The chia seed kind of made them come out really nice. You know guys, how to know that it's done is when you stick the toothpick into it. It comes out really dry. You don't get to see the mixture sticking on the peak. That's when you know that it is done, okay? Look at that beauty. Look at the lovely sumptuous meal we came out with at the end of the day. Sweet looking delicacy. I hope you try this and tell me what you think about it, okay? Do well to like this video if you've enjoyed it. Come on, I know you enjoyed watching this video today and I'm sure you're going to try it, so why not give it a thumbs up, okay? Tell me if you like it in the comment section. Share this recipe with your friends and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, okay? See you guys in my next video. Bye.